The 1970s was an era of experimentation in media, but when you looked at televisions like these, genres mostly stayed in their own rigid lanes. Sitcoms provided the laughs, sci-fi offered space adventures, and sports networks delivered athletic competition. Then, a single broadcast smashed those lanes together. A classic sitcom cast collided with professional basketball stars, and for good measure, the script introduced a race of extraterrestrials. On paper, blending Gilligan's Island with the Harlem Globetrotters and space aliens sounds like a recipe for a disjointed mess. Yet this concept reached millions of viewers and became an undeniable rating success. We have to ask, how did a crossover this absurdly ambitious secure such a lasting place in the history of 1970s media? The project relied on a foundation of classic sitcom archetypes. Bob Denver, pictured here in his iconic Gilligan attire, brought a familiar comedic rhythm. Against that traditional sitcom backdrop, the script introduced the Harlem Globetrotters. Their athletic skill and dynamic brand of physical humor created an immediate, striking contrast with the stranded castaways. The writers heightened the shock factor by injecting space aliens into this already crowded Americana meets sports dynamic. The production team handled these conflicting elements as a serious narrative challenge, allowing the absurdity to feel intentional. This diagram illustrates the structural logic used by producers Sherwood and Lloyd J. Schwartz to make this bizarre concept appealing. To merge these styles, they found a narrative center that everyone understood, the classic David versus Goliath format. They anchored the humor by forcing the heroes to face off against advanced alien robots in a high-stakes basketball game. As the plot grew increasingly strange, the original cast provided a familiar emotional core. Here, we see Alan Hale Jr. as the skipper, whose consistent presence helped ground the audience. To match the sci-fi stakes, the Globetrotters supplied immense star power. Their athletic skill, seen here with their signature ball handling, brought a dynamic energy to the island setting. You had two drastically different groups of performers sharing the same set. Their on-screen chemistry provided the vital human element that made the surreal plot feel believable to viewers at home. Executing this crossover required an immense effort from the production crew. This high-angle view of the set reveals the complexity of the operation, crowded with lights, cameras, and technical staff. The art department faced the unique challenge of set design. They had to visually bridge the gap between practical island sets and elaborate extraterrestrial technology, creating a world that felt both familiar and strange. On the floor, the directors had to manage a logistical tightrope, blending traditional practical camera effects with fast-paced live-action sports choreography. The final layer of the production was the musical score. This studio setup shows the kind of analog synthesizers used to capture the 1970s fascination with futurism. The composer built a hybrid audio experience, layering the whimsical musical motifs of a sitcom over campy space-age synthesizer effects. The combination of specific set design, practical effects, and a custom score resulted in a production that exceeded the usual scale of a television movie. The immediate aftermath of the broadcast proved the risk was worth it. Millions of viewers tuned in, and critics noted the production for its sheer creative audacity. As the years passed, the event transitioned into heavy television syndication. It acted as a bridge, introducing new generations of viewers to both the Gilligan's Island cast and the Harlem Globetrotters. It caused cultural ripples that lasted for decades, inspiring parodies, homages, and academic think pieces regarding the intersection of professional sports and sci-fi narratives. This enduring interest proves a vital point about the medium. Audiences reward television that is willing to break established formulas and treat the screen as a playground for imagination. By surviving through decades of syndication and inspiring academic think pieces, the project outlived its status as a simple rating success. By crossing the strict boundaries of expectation, genre, and style, the crossover embodies the experimental spirit of 1970s media. The Harlem Globetrotters on Gilligan's Island survives in public memory because it illustrates how collaborative imagination can turn an improbable premise into a lasting chapter of television history.